So this Oregon team is not a team that was trying to rebuild through the portal, obviously, or even reload through the portal because they're already kind of loaded. They've got most of their production back from last year. This is a team, though, that just wanted to patch maybe a couple little holes, like a little, it's a beautiful house that you have. There's just maybe a little leak in the roof that we got to patch. And that's all they really did here. And they did a great job of it. I will say, first off, getting Dylan Raiola in the transfer portal makes this the deepest and best quarterback room in the Big Ten. Obviously, Moore's going to come back and he's already one of the favorites for the Heisman next year, as he should be. But having Raiola there as an insurance policy, if and when he gets healthy, is going to be good for the Ducks, and then gives them another immediate replacement, assuming that Raiola sticks around. But I think this is a good move for Raiola, and I think it's a good move for the Ducks. Raiola can sit in a successful program under a really good quarterback and study and learn with no pressure, and then hopefully fill in when Moore goes to the NFL after next year. Number one, Evan Stewart, who missed the whole year last year and would have been the number one or was expected number one receiver, is back next year. And I think a lot of people forget about that. And Kakorien Moore, who was a true freshman and had a great year last year, is back. So that's a pretty good start right there. And then you get a guy like Iverson Hooks from University of Alabama, Birmingham. I'm telling you, if you haven't watched Iverson Hooks highlights yet, go ahead and do yourself a favor and look him up after you watch this video. This guy's got all the swag that you can expect from a guy named after Allen Iverson. He's also, like Allen Iverson, not the biggest at 5'10", 175. He's kind of a gadget player, though, Coach Drew. 72 catches last year, and he's thrown a couple passes over the last couple years, one that went for a 75-yard touchdown. But this guy plays bigger than his size, is fearless. He's got the heart of a lion out there, and he's going to be a fun guy to watch for the Oregon Ducks. I'm really excited for him to get there. So this receiver core next year, starting out healthy at the beginning of the year, is going to be way better than what we were able to see really the whole second half of the year, Coach Drew. They were pretty banged up. Obviously, starting the year with your senior leader at receiver out was hard, but then, I know DK Moore got banged up. I know Gary Bryant got banged up. Starting out healthy next year, hopefully they stay healthy, and Iverson Hooks is going to be a big part of this receiver core. So you lose Sadiq, but you do get another stud tight end in there in Olesh, who I had high expectations for at Penn State last year before the year got derailed. So that's a really good pickup. So on the offensive line, you lost Isaiah World, Alex Harkey, your two offensive tackles, and you lost Emmanuel Pregnon, who was a really good player. But that Oregon offensive line room is just stacked with talent, so I don't really worry about replacing anybody, especially since they got Michael Bennett from Yale in, who's a two-time all-conference player from Yale, and he was FCS honorable mention All-American last year, a smart guy, obviously, coming from the Ivy League at 6'5", 310 pounds. That gives you a little veteran leadership on the offensive line after losing World, Harkey, and Pregnon. Here's a guy I'm really excited about, Coach Drew, is DeAndre Robinson. You're adding him to this defensive line that already has starters back. Amari Washington's back, Coach Drew, and then you're going to throw this big old monster in there at 6'4", 315 pounds. He had 39 tackles and a forced fumble last year. A guy that you don't want to run at. And they got a lot of these guys in this Oregon front seven and on the defensive line that you don't want to run at. I think right now, off the top of my head, I would rank this as probably the best defensive line in the country, especially with the addition of Mr. Robinson. You also got Aaron Scott from Ohio State, who gives you some depth at cornerback. Now, everybody remember that this Oregon Duck team was young in the secondary last year, so they're just going to get a year older, a year bigger, a year stronger, and a year better. Aaron Scott's a guy who's a good athlete that'll give you a little depth. But here's the crown jewel, possibly, of this whole thing, Coach Drew, and that's Perich from Minnesota. Perich at this point has NFL stamped on his forehead, and if you had to replace Dylan Thieneman, you may have just gotten an upgrade in Perich, as good as Thieneman was for the Ducks. In 2 years at Minnesota, Perich has 128 tackles, 6 interceptions, 38 kick returns, 7 receptions, and a touchdown. Actually, I think maybe more than one touchdown on the defensive side of the ball, but Perich pretty much walks the dog, sells popcorn, sells tickets, and covers whatever part of the field you want him to cover. He's a monster in the run game. He's a ball hawk as far as defending the pass as a safety. Perich is an absolutely huge pickup for this Ducks team who, honestly, the more I think about it and the more I've looked at this, Coach Drew, I think Oregon could almost be your favorite to win the national championship last year based on the fact that you got Dante Moore back and some of these positions that you lost guys, you've upgraded. Your defensive line just upgraded by adding another big monster to rotate in there that guys can't run at. I'm really excited about this Oregon team next year.
Yeah, you mentioned it. We got him playing offense and defense. So when you're talking about wide receivers, not only did they get hooks, but they also got another little gadget player who people might be confused at first. Why is he playing offense and defense? That's because he can. And didn't you say in high school we reviewed this last year when he was playing for Minnesota? Didn't we
Minnesota.
say that he played both kick return, defensive return, and an offensive score?
Yeah, he had a game where he had an offensive touchdown, a defensive touchdown, and a special teams touchdown, and he did some other really freaky stuff in high school. He's actually done some pretty freaky stuff at Minnesota. We'll see if they want to use him both ways when he gets up to Eugene, but man, I'll tell you what, he's going to be a staple in the defensive backfield and maybe a staple at kick returner, Coach Drew. We'll just have to see what Coach Lanning wants to do. I do want to say that the mainstream sports media turns on some people pretty fast, and Lanning caught a lot of flack after their loss to Indiana. And, no team wants to lose a game in that fashion, especially on national television under the spotlight in a college football playoff game. Dan Lanning is, to me, still the best young coach in America. He's 10 years younger than Nick Saban was when he won his first national championship. So I just wanted to kind of respond to that to any of the Oregon haters is like, dude, grow up and see reality for what it is. Indiana
Yep.
beat the crap out of a lot of people last year. It's not like Oregon got beat by Sisters of the Poor. And I think that honestly, Oregon having the season that they did last year, despite some of the injuries that they had, was an incredible coaching job by Lanning. And I could totally see them winning the whole thing this year.
Yeah, they definitely retooled. And like you said, Dante Moore's back, Heisman favorite
Yeah,
out of the gate. They got some offensive weapons around him. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what they end up doing.
100%.